This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. James Cullen Bressack is one of the most popular filmmakers creating modern-day horror films. His credits include Jennifer, Hate Crime, and 13-13-13, and the brand-new release, Pernicious. Shot and set in Thailand, Pernicious is a bloody, no-holds-barred horror film that is James' first theatrical release. Hello, James. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure. Anyway, we're delighted to have you as a guest.
We should have some background music, horror background music
I
going
need to confess up front that horror films are my least favorite film genre.
Oh, really?
I got 45 seconds into the trailer. I said, this is an amazing piece of work. I mean, I get scared when the lights are on. that being said, what makes horror films so fascinating to you?
You know, for me, working with an actor and talking with them about, like, you know, the darkest recesses of humanity and the human mind always interested me, you know, because no evil person ever truly feels that they're evil.
Well, that's a true statement for sure. I was just thinking, wearing your filmmaker hat, it's been said that the most profitable genre for independent filmmakers is horror films. Have you found that to be true for yourself?
Well, you know, I don't necessarily know. I mean, I guess they would say that horror is the most profitable genre, but I mean, I didn't really dabble in other genres, so I can't really compare.
Oh, the horror's all you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I'm now in production on my first drama, but I've only done horror.
Now, how do you define a horror movie?
I define a horror movie as ordinary people put in extraordinary situations.
Well, that could be a suspense film. That could be a thriller. That could be a lot of things. Would The Exorcist be a horror film? Would The Omen be a horror film?
I believe The Exorcist is a horror film. I believe The Omen is a horror film. But, I mean, that's like how, you know, mainstream society would classify it. I actually personally feel like I've never really made a horror film. I've just made stories about people that have crazy things that happen in it. But I mean, you know, what makes it a horror film if a ghost shows up and kills people? Is it just the fact that it's killing people, or is it like, you know, if the ghost shows up and is friendly, is that still a horror film? You know what I mean? So I definitely think that you know, something like watching Saving Private Ryan, that's terrifying, but it's not a horror film. You know, so I think that you know, sometimes we try to clump things in genres, but ultimately I think I haven't quite really made horror films. I've made stories about people.
Well, we're forced to classify these films into genres now with the internet and keywords and Netflix, and in order to search for something, you have to have a keyword, and one of those keywords is horror. Yeah,
definitely. You know, I definitely think that the horror films that I've made are kind of a little different than others, but I definitely agree with you.
James, can you tell us about your newest film, Pernicious?
My newest film, Pernicious, is about 3 girls going to Thailand and awakening an ancient evil.
It sounds like a perfect
horror film.
Perfect horror film. Like I said, I watched the beginning of the trailer, and some of the imagery is really, really nice. What was it like to shoot in Thailand?
Oh, it was amazing. It was such a beautiful place. You know, I spent 3 months there, and it's just, you know, something that I will live with for, you know, ever. I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life.
That is very cool.
I heard it's hot.
Oh, you have no idea. It's hot, it's humid. I mean, like, you're walking and it feels like you're swimming.
Put your writer-director hat on, because you were both the writer and the director for Pernicious. Do you have, when you're writing a film, we'll call it a horror film, when you're writing a horror film, are you keeping certain ideas in mind as opposed to writing a drama? Is there genre tricks that you're using to keep the audience enthralled?
Yeah, I mean, like I like to go by an 8-act structure that horror films follow sometimes, where as most follow like a 3-act structure, but an 8-act structure makes sure that something scary happens every couple pages. And then I also usually every movie, probably why I say that I haven't really made a horror movie is every single horror movie I write, I start off writing as like a comedy or as a drama, and then I get sick of the characters, so I start killing them. So like I never really set out to make a horror film. So like when you're watching Pernicious, the first half of the movie, like, you know, isn't really that scary. But then I'm like, no, everybody has to die now.
It sounds to me like in order to make it really scary, the audience has to care at some level about the characters.
Because, yeah, I definitely think there has to be that connection.
And if they don't, if they're just cartoons, then it's not scary to put them in jeopardy because nobody particularly cares.
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Although I would be shocked if they were literal cartoons in the roles of characters.
We have a live chat, and Eric on our live chat wanted to know more specifically, where did you shoot in Thailand?
I shot in Bangkok and Ayutthaya.
And when you are creating a horror film, how important are effects, or is it more the characters in jeopardy?
I think the characters in jeopardy are important, but myself being a huge fan of practical effects, I think the effects are everything, really.
What kind, are these all mechanical that you do on set, or are you going back and doing them in post later?
These are all practical. We did these on set. And so, you know, I think having real practical gore is important. I mean, it's just so much more visceral and disgusting. And I'm heavily inspired by the films of the 1980s, which, I mean, the gore back then was so much better than the CGI stuff that they do today.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Who are your influencers here in the 1980s, you just said?
Yeah, I was heavily influenced by a lot of Asian cinema. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Korean and Japanese films, the works of Takashi Miike and Park Chan-wook, but I definitely was heavily inspired by Eli Roth.
Yeah, you get a lot of gore there, babe.
Do you need to when you're casting, are you looking for a particular type of actor?
Yeah, I usually look for who's best for the role, and you know, that movie I had auditions for, but typically I hate having auditions. I usually just think like, I've seen this person do this in this movie. I bet you they can do that in my movie. So I just cast them off of that.
That's really the only way, especially if you're going to bring your actors to a hot and humid place where the conditions are not exactly wonderful. You better have really, really good food and a really, really good time and really, really good personalities.
Definitely. And, you know, I was blessed with these three girls. They were so amazing to work with and super sweet. That's
great.
Do you enjoy writing the film, directing the film, or marketing the film the most?
I enjoy all three. You know, I think that it's part of the film for me. I mean, I prefer doing all three. You know, I think it's all rolled into my job as the director.
Now, my understanding is Pernicious has been picked up by a company that's their first-time feature, and it's also your first theatrical release. How did that happen?
The producers behind the film just, you know, really believe in it, and they wanted to give it a theatrical release, so they made sure that it happened.
Did you have to run the gamut of the film festival circuit and all that kind of stuff before you got the sale?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we played festivals in Spain, and I did a Q&A for a festival in Australia, and we played, you know, festivals in Thailand. We played all around the world, so we definitely did the festival circuit.
Back to our live chat, Caesar writes that I'm a horror movie fan. I just saw the trailer for Pernicious, and it looks interesting. My favorite horror film, Caesar continues, is probably Rob Zombie's Halloween. He took horror to a new level. Did you see that?
Rob Zombie did Halloween? I don't think so.
I did see Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Oh, he did?
And though I did think it was good, I do challenge you to see John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yes, that one. Okay, because I was thinking of John Carpenter's Halloween, not Rob Zombie's.
Well, we'll see if Caesar has a comment, but he specifically asked about Rob Zombie's Halloween. So
Yeah.
everybody's got favorites.
I definitely think Rob Zombie's Halloween is a visceral film, and it's definitely a darker look into the character of Michael Myers. And I definitely did enjoy it. I just will always forever be a fan of the original.
Yeah. How can you not?
Thinking of fans of films, where can people go on the web to learn more about Pernicious?
You can check out Pernicious on perniciousthemovie.com, or you can check out my website, jamescullenbressack.com, or follow me on Twitter @JamesCullenB, or follow Pernicious the Movie on Twitter.
And for those of you that want, that's perniciousthemovie.com or James Cullen Bressack. That's BRESSACK, Bressack.com. James, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, James.
Bye-bye.